Keep this under 4 minutes.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Team Coco. Yeah, this is a very special edition. We have two great writers here, Andrés Bouchet and Dan Cronin. And the reason why we decided to do the Stream Coco today is because something happened recently on the show that, every once in a while, a firework explodes in the sky. Every once in a while, you achieve, whether on purpose or by accident, true greatness that will live on hundreds of years. Now it's like when Mozart or Beethoven.
At least another week.
At least another week.
Yeah, we're writing this for like 2 weeks.
And that, for our show, for Conan,
right,
was a sketch André wrote called Nutspoon.
Yes.
That's right. Nutspoon, everybody. And, this has been making waves across the internet, across the world, frankly. And probably out into the cosmos somewhere. It's being beamed out. Aliens are probably enjoying Nutspoon millions of years from now. And Nutspoon,
Does that affect our residuals at all? Can we get
So WGA doesn't have a
future alien residuals?
doesn't have interstellar
No?
territories.
Yeah, you guys gotta. WGA has to renegotiate interstellar residuals.
Get on top of that.
But we thought, actually, on a little bit more of a serious note, we thought we would actually take this opportunity to talk with these guys and you a little bit about the process of comedy writing, nut spoons in general, nuts, spoons, and the amazing assortment of wigs that Dan Cronin wears in the show, which is also fantastic.
Todd Levin thinks I have a disorder,
yes,
a wig fetish.
Exactly.
I do. I think all wigs are hilarious.
Right. But before we get started, something we had one of our favorite guests on very recently, Carl Reiner. Comedy legend.
Yeah.
And Carl Reiner, when a guest comes on the show, we kind of know basically what they're going to say. We talk to them ahead of time. But Carl Reiner actually surprised us and Conan by mentioning something in his interview that we all thought was absolutely incredible. And for those of you who missed it, here it is. Take a look. Here's Carl Reiner.
I'm here because I love you. Oh, by the way, before I get to that, I taped it. I laughed so hard, you idiots, with a nut spoon.
Oh, we did a sketch.
Did you see that?
We did a sketch. Was it last week? We did a sketch called Nut Spoon, which this is really saying something. On the idiocy scale, after 24 years of doing this, it was pretty high by our standards. And you saw that?
It was the best it was the best sketch I've seen in a long time.
Oh, wow.
I laughed
That makes me so
hysterically.
happy.
I taped it, and I play it for friends. The fact, you buy the premise
Yes.
that you need a spoon to pick up a nut.
Yes.
I was saying, I'm an expert.
Yeah.
I can go in there and straighten them out.
Yeah.
You pick up a nut with a finger. You don't use-
No, this was the whole premise of the sketch is you got to use a spoon. And wow, I can't believe A, you saw it, B, you liked it, and C, you're showing it to other people. Makes my life.
94.
There we go. Carl Reiner saying how much he loved Nutspoon. That's got to be a thrill.
Oh, it's a thrill. I was telling my wife I can retire now. I was totally over the moon.
And one of the things he kind of brings up, which is something which is kind of amazing, which is the premise of Nutspoon, which is, we're actually going to talk seriously about Nutspoon, by the way, which is the premise, which is that you have to use a spoon to pick up nuts. How did you think of this? How did the Nutspoon come about?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. So Dan and I were working on a different sketch. We did these sketches where I played El Chapo sitting in on drums with the band.
And the joke there was
I kept tunneling out of the studio.
Yes.
So we were in the control room going over the last changes to that sketch for that day's show. And there's a snack table in the control room, and it's got like olives and crackers and cheese and stuff. And there's a small paper plate with almonds on it. And there's a plastic spoon there, and I was like, what are you supposed to, I was like, this isn't, like, I guess I'm supposed to use the spoon to pick up the nuts, because it's like a cleanliness thing, I guess, if you don't want to touch all the, and I was like, this is possible, I can only get a couple nuts on this spoon. And then I was like, I'm going to write a sketch about this. That's basically what.
And actually,
what
Sarah
happened.
asked, "What's your favorite nut? You guys got favorite nuts?"
Probably almonds.
Cashew.
All right.
I like
Cashew
almonds.
or the smoked almonds.
Do you guys go for the dry roasted stuff, or you more
Yeah.
raw?
I like dry roasted salted almonds.
Dry roasted.
Absolutely.
There you go,
We
Sarah,
should
now you
point
know.
out, this seems ridiculous, but every year about 60,000 people die due to nut germs. So,
What is that?
So not just nut allergies.
Yeah, the nut spoon is
Nut
the nut
germs.
spoon
Yes.
is providing a
exactly.
Right.
Gab
needed.
Dog, we're in our digital studio. We're not in a vault somewhere.
No, that's not true. We're in the back of an 18-wheeler.
That's true.
We were abducted.
This is just what's the thing from Stranger Things?
Right.
The upside.
The upside
This is
down.
the upside down.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
We're
we're-
upside down. How do you pick up a nut from a spoon? So yeah, and Lance, I think to Lance's point, you
Yeah.
can't actually pick up any nuts.
No, it's really hard.
Right.
And
So it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Nikki in the control room suggested that we just put the nuts in a bowl.
Right.
Then it's much easier to get them out with a spoon.
Right.
But for some reason, we have a little paper plate, and you just kind of nudge them all over the place, and you make a mess. And
So okay, but let's talk specifically here. So that happens, and you're like, oh,
Right.
this is dumb. This is a dumb thing.
Right.
One of the things I like about Nut Spoon, the sketch, is the structure of it. I think why it works so well. I mean, it's
Right.
almost 7 minutes, which is really long for
us,
a
it's
sketch.
very long.
For us, and that's a meaty sketch. A lot of nut meat there. Sorry. But so. Let's talk a little bit about the structure.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Why don't we watch Nut Spoon first?
Ooh.
And
okay.
then for people who haven't seen it,
I don't think I've ever seen it. I've only
Can I
lived
just
it.
point out there's a lot of comments saying bring out Jordan, like as if we have him in a box.
That's not too far from the truth.
yes, exactly.
We could probably get Jordan down here. You think we could?
Probably. We could ask if Jordan
should
wants
we
to
see
come
if we can
by
get Jordan?
and ask him about Nut Spoon at the end.
or nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, or
no problem.
nuts. We could ask Jordan at the end.
Although he might not even be in yet.
Yeah, I know that's true. He gets in pretty late. Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
11. He usually gets in around noon.
Bring out
Yeah.
Jordan.
Exactly. Jordan doesn't actually.
My
work that hard.
Lyft driver the other night was telling me how much he loved Jordan.
Oh my god.
And he also had a crush on Sona.
Oh.
So yeah,
Good. He's
guy was
fully.
really-
yeah.
Was he a lift just on the lot?
No, he was a
the real
big fan of the show.
He was an intern.
Yeah.
He was an intern. But so people haven't haven't seen Nut Spoon before. Let's watch Nut Spoon, and then we will also these guys will kind of talk about it and give a little bit of. I love I'm about to say this. We're gonna give a little bit of director's commentary
Oh, jeez.
to the Stanley Kubrickian masterpiece that is Nut Spoon. Let's do it.
I've been doing this job
Here we
for
go.
quite some time
That's
now.
Conan O'Brien.
60 years. And
Conan's the host of the show.
I
Conan's the
like
host.
to think I'm a pretty good boss.
And
Absolutely are.
Okay, well,
I thought a good way to get into this was
Thank
with a
you.
complaint
And it's important to
box.
me that everyone here.
And that's
on the
interesting. And so
crew,
it's
because I
kind
work
of
with a
it
big
starts
crew,
with
it's
something
important
completely
to me
different, which
that
is
they're
Conan.
happy,
It
and
starts with the
I'm always
premise
looking for
Conan
ways
loves
to
his staff and
improve
cares about his
things here,
staff.
make it a
Right,
little
which is
better.
true.
Which
So-
is
This
true.
morning,
And
I
then-
put out a complaint box backstage.
And then I thought it'd be funny if,
just to kind of check
the
it
thing
out.
was full already after one day.
There it is. Yeah. That way, if anyone has a complaint, they can just fill out a card.
And I
put
just
it
like
in
the idea
box,
that he
and I can
mentions
maybe try
Nut
and
Spoon
fix
a
it.
bunch of times
And
before you even know
all
what
of
the heck
these
it
are
is.
from one
And
day.
is that just because you
Yeah,
wanted to shove another
that-
joke
I
in
haven't
there,
said any
or
full.
why not
Not
just
even a
have
full
somebody
day. I
just
put this
say,
out like
hey,
2 hours
like why not
ago.
just have
Wow.
you as the cameraman
Crammed full
interrupt
of
Conan
them,
about the Nut
and
Spoon?
it's really.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
troubling
I
to
feel
check
like
out
it's funnier
the,
if you're
some
just
of
sort
the
of
issues are.
slowly
Slowly piling it on.
giving
It says
information.
here,
You know,
first
it's like,
card, we need a
Each
better
note is
nut
about the
spoon.
nut spoon. I think it's really funny.
So you're
that
kind
it's
of
just-
basically you're
You're doling it out, kind of.
yeah.
You're
So the
kind of-
the crowd's already heard the words Nut Spoon
Right
like 3 times already, and
Right.
nobody knows what it is.
Right. So you're
The
kind of
Nut
building
Spoon
anticipation for what
situation
Nut
Yeah,
Spoon is.
and it's just fun. It sounds fun.
Yeah.
Funny words.
What
So
is
much
a nut?
complaints.
I don't know. This is crazy. 2 words. Nut spoon.
Oh yeah, Will Kim asks,
Can
are the
someone
complaints in the
please
box
tell
real?
me
Did you
what
pull
a
like a
nut
Shining
spoon
and make an
is?
intern write 1,000
I might be able
Nut
to
Spoon
clear this
comments?
I think Bill Tull and
this
John
is
Rao
great. This
just
is Tony,
wrote
our
random
camera
shit
guy.
on
Tony.
excuse me, pardon my
Tony,
language,
Tell us,
on a
what
bunch of
is
pieces of
a
paper.
nut spoon?
That's right.
Okay, Conan. To put
CD
it
says
simply,
this is classic.
the nut spoon is the bane of the entire crew's existence.
Okay, Tony, that seems
And
a
then
little extreme.
I don't know why, but I
Andy,
decided
know
to
it's
make me
extreme,
angry at
but
him.
do you want to mock me, or do you want to hear about the nut spoon? Huh?
But
do you want to hear about the nut
I will
spoon
say,
or not?
Okay.
I
What do
love
wanna
that
do?
choice
You wanna
of
make fun
making
of me?
Tony really angry because it's kind of almost a B story. It keeps coming back, and
Let's
it
hear about
adds
it.
to
Yeah,
the whole.
Right,
and
so
it's
there's
part of
more
the
mystery
ending,
now. It's
yeah.
like, why is Tony
Right.
angry
Right.
at Andy? Like, is there some
Exactly.
history they have?
Yes.
There's a snack table backstage, right? It's where the crew gets their snacks.
And this is a real
Basically
thing.
true.
That
Like,
makes
yeah.
sense. Sure. Yeah.
And one of the snack table is a
What
small
Dan Buchanan
paper
asked,
plate
what
with some
accent were you
nuts on
going
it.
for?
Sometimes
Of
it's
this with
almonds.
this, it's like
it's
almost
cashews.
New York kind
Staten
of.
Island.
Yeah, it's just like I grew up,
Sometimes
you
it's
know,
honey roasted
I
peanuts.
grew up in New Jersey and New York City,
Sometimes
so it's
a
just
mix
kind of a little
of
bit like
different
that.
kinds of nuts or
Right.
maybe on the
Hey,
food
Spectrum
called
says that was the best part. You get
Okay, you know
really
what?
angry. It is funny how you then switch right
We
back.
get it. Just tell me about the nut spoon.
Okay. So when the
That dude is
crew
OG.
wants some nuts to snack on, we don't just grab them with our hands, because that could spread
Oh,
germs,
good.
right? Instead, we use a spoon to scoop up the nuts, and then we transfer the nuts from the spoon to
So
our other
again,
hand.
what I
Just
liked
good
about this
hygiene.
part is just
Do you know what we call this spoon?
how
Tony?
unnecessarily drawn out it is.
Right.
Bingo! You get a gold star. Okay.
My favorite line right here.
Here's where the
And
story
so at this point, you know, the rest of the
maintains
writers and
same
actors
level
are
of
out there
interestingness.
hoping that this is going well, and they're already on board. So
Right.
we're like,
The spoon in
there's a big
question, i.e.
sigh
the
of
nut
relief
spoon, it's
when
a
you're standing
small
out on the
plastic
floor
teaspoon,
in a wig,
like this one.
and you know there's like 6 pages left.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, when you're all, yeah, you're in the bit, you don't
Yeah,
then want to,
you're hoping they're on board.
you don't want to jump on the
And they totally were. Even with the long-winded parts, they were getting it. So it was a good crowd.
Get bent! I'm sorry.
Todd Levin on the left and Levi McDougall, other writers joining in.
This is nut spoon. It's the skit that keeps on giving. That's true. As it keeps on packing, and I think one of the
I love
greatest.
that reaction.
Yeah,
Kinda funny.
he gets to play with
You
it too,
can
so it's
see-
fun for Conan.
The spoon's very small, and the bowl of the spoon
I like the
is
shot,
very
the
shallow,
close
okay?
up there. is
Again,
great.
like this is all
Try to
unnecessary,
scoop up
which is
nuts
one of my
from
favorite
the
things to
plate.
do.
You end up
I think part of the thing though is like
nudging more
you
nuts
need the
off
space,
plate than you
like you
actually
need the
pick up
space
with the
to
spoon.
to play around
It's
with
almost
the
impossible
absolute
to get
ridiculousness
nuts
of the
here for
premise.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, Tony. Is it really that hard to pick
So
up nuts? with that
Dubouchet's good
spoon?
at callbacks
Robbie,
to
why
other
don't you tell
sketches, so
Conan
he's
what you told me
calling
this
to me,
morning?
which is another character, Robbie the High Cameraman.
Right, this character's been in a bunch.
Yeah.
Any nuts here at work.
Now, here's my favorite part of the
Pretty
sketch, which is
sad,
just a
right?
conversation between the two of us,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is not,
I mean,
again, not
One
necessary.
time I got one nut on the spoon, but then when I was trying to like transfer that nut from the spoon to my other hand, I dropped the nut.
So all you're doing here is just heightening
Yeah.
how you're making a
Since then,
meal
man,
out of
I'm
something
done.
that's insanely
I just
tiny.
stopped
Exactly,
trying to eat nuts
right.
here at work.
I don't blame you.
I still eat nuts at home though.
Yeah.
Nut spoon is a
I just go, yeah.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Guys, I had no idea the nut spoon situation was going on. I really did.
Cue
Hey,
tall.
everybody, come on. John's going for the record.
Hey, that's
a
our
prop
prop master,
master.
Bill Tull. What record are you talking about, Bill?
The nut spoon record. Come on, you don't want to miss this.
All right, so now we enter into the
Yes,
third act of
is
this
pretty
sketch.
exciting.
Yeah.
You should see what all the commotion is
So
about.
now
Bill,
it's like,
can I
all
get a
right, we
shot
actually
of
get to
what's
see
going
the
on
nut
backstage?
spoon in action.
Right, we built it up
Until now,
again.
no one's been able to pick up more than 2 nuts with the nut spoon. John Rao's going for 3. Go for it, John.
And what I love about this is you're now setting stakes.
Correct.
You're now setting stakes here, so
So here you go. That's exactly what it looks like.
yeah.
Nut spoon, nut spoon, nut spoon.
Wow.
Rao does, yes, that's John Rao from the props department. He works with Toll. He's great.
Nut spoon.
He does.
Pedro says plot twist for the sequel. The problem is actually the bowl, not the spoon.
He's right. That's what I was saying. Then we added a ton of extra nuts to the table.
Right, I love that too.
We waste thousands of dollars
It's
for
like
nuts.
2 whole jars of nuts we poured on the table.
Wow! Tony, you really opened my eyes to the whole nut spoon situation. Now, here's the idea. What if I replace the nut spoon with this white plastic soup spoon? Okay?
Yeah, I don't really see how that solves the problem, except that, well, it is slightly larger and a little deeper than the current nut spoon. Oh, thanks, Conan. We're gonna eat so many nuts at the crew Oscar party.
Okay, that's great.
Wait, the Oscars were Sunday, Tony.
Shut up!
And then bring it the third time. Right.
Yeah, I really got to bring my thing one more time.
Shove it through you!
And I mess up those lines because I forgot where the key cards were, so I just started.
I'm sorry. All hail the nut spoon, everyone! Nut spoon! Nut spoon!
And then we have to chant nut spoon again. And I love that the crowd started clapping
that's
along.
great.
Who was on the show that day? Who was the first guest after that?
I don't
Lisa
even remember.
Kudrow was on the show.
Oh, Lisa
yeah, Lisa
Kudrow, right?
Kudrow.
She saw the nut spoon.
But
But
So, yeah.
Dubouchet is great at
thanks, man.
at things that involve a specific logic that you can delve into, twist around, over-explain. I think
Right.
he has a very mathematical mind. I really think he
That's
does.
interesting. Very logical.
Yeah.
So
Right, you set up your own. You
Internal
create
logic.
your own internal logic, and then if you stick to it,
Right.
you can play around in that, and it's funny.
Yeah, you create the rules, then you play by them.
right,
People
right, right.
like that. Well, now we're gonna have a big fan of Nut Spoon join us here. If he wants to come on over and take a seat, I'll jump in the back here.
Thank you.
As
Of
requested.
course, as requested.
As requested,
Jordan
people.
Schlansky, everyone. Jordan
There
Schlansky.
you go.
Jordan.
Look who it is.
Great to be here.
Thank you.
You were requested. What did you bring?
Now, Jordan, you've actually brought some nuts here. Do you want me to give him my mic, O'Malley?
We got the.
Okay, great. Jordan, you brought some nuts. Now, you are an aficionado of pretty much everything. What did you think of the Nut Spoon sketch?
Well, I feel like we're doing nuts a disservice if we're talking about the sketch and not talking about nuts themselves and their health benefits.
That's true.
Now, these came from my office, and I just want to make a distinction.
Unscripted. We didn't write this. We didn't write this.
I just want to make a distinction. We have two superfoods here. We have almonds and the lesser-known pumpkin seeds. And I'm going to talk about both of those things. But first, I want to talk about almonds and the magnesium content. Now, magnesium is actually a mineral that most Americans are currently deficient in. Believe it or not, in this age of supplements, magnesium is really hard to get from food. The soil has been depleted due to over-farming, and organ meats have fallen out of favor. Organ meats used to be a very
Liver.
primal. Yeah, that's an organ, and they're very rich in magnesium, vitamin A, but unfortunately they're out of the public taste. Supplementing with magnesium is not an efficient way to get magnesium in the body as well. A lot of people use transdermal magnesium when cavemen swam in the ocean. The ocean is rich with magnesium and it absorbs through the skin in the same way a nicotine patch would absorb through the skin. People don't
What
realize.
does magnesium do for the body?
Magnesium is a relaxant. It's an anti-inflammatory. It helps you sleep. It helps digestion. It relieves muscle cramps.
Is this what you wanted?
Actually, people are saying he's actually right.
This is what you wanted, right?
I find this very interesting.
This is
frankly.
actually
So,
very interesting. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm getting the,
Inflammation is one of the. They're learning is like a very high.
no, I'm just
You know,
wondering
a big
if
cause of.
Jordan,
of
you give me
death.
life, somebody said.
So
Yeah.
anti-inflammatories is a good thing.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
a little bit of controversy regarding almonds as well. You see, a lot of people like to have raw almonds in their natural state, but unfortunately, a few years ago in California, there was a salmonella outbreak in raw almonds due to some unscrupulous production techniques. And as a result, the overreaction was the state of California opposed a law that almonds that come out of California must be pasteurized, and they're no longer raw. These
and
are
served with a spoon.
these are organic and steam pasteurized. Now you can still get unpasteurized raw almonds, just not the ones from California. Unfortunately, a very high percentage of U.S. almonds do come out of California. A lot of people buy Italian almonds for that reason. And then quickly, I wanted to go into pumpkin seeds, which is the greatest vegetarian source of zinc. Now, zinc is another very important mineral for male testosterone, virility, libido,
Immunity.
and immunity as well. Yeah, and zinc is another mineral where a lot of people are deficient in. Now, of course, oysters are the richest source of zinc, and they've been known as an aphrodisiac for many centuries, in fact, in all different cultures around the world. But
Those are really good.
this is a nice
Those have
portable
some
source.
herbs in them too.
Yeah, this particular one, I'm not a big fan of raw pumpkin seeds. I find them a little boring. But these particular ones are roasted. This brand is Super Seeds, and they're
taste like
non-GMO, yet not organic. But yeah, so these were in my office, and just want to talk about
great.
the fiber content in nuts.
Where did you get those, Jordan?
I believe both of these were purchased from Whole Foods.
Wow.
Yeah, fiber is another deficient part of the American diet. You know, fiber is a large part of digestion, and it's amazing when I go to some more rural areas of the country, the meals that are served don't contain any fiber in any form whatsoever, whether it be vegetables or nuts. So I encourage people to eat nuts for those reasons.
Wow. Well, Jordan, thank you. And what did you think of the Nut Spoon sketch?
I thought the Nut Spoon sketch was great. It actually, a couple of us in the office, that sketch inspired memories of a much older sketch from back in Late Night in New York. It may have even predated you two. Yeah, it was called the Be Yourself Gang, or the Do It Yourself Gang. I think it was written by a guy named Tommy Blotcha.
Oh wow, yeah, he's a legend.
But
Do-it-yourself gang.
yeah, it was a really irreverent sketch that kind of took all these twists and turns and left you thinking, what did I just see? And when we saw it, you know, that's you guys may have covered this. I hadn't watched what you guys done. I guess it took a couple of days between the first time we rehearsed it and it finally aired. With a couple of tweaks, I was afraid because sometimes when something gets delayed, you hope that it gets on air at all. And I so wanted that sketch to get on air, so I'm glad it did work out favorably in the end, and it got such a great response.
Thanks, Jordan.
Wow. Well, George Schlansky, everybody, thank you. What a treat.
What a drop-in.
What a treat. Look at that. A little drop-in, little knowledge there from Jordan. I had no idea about
I didn't know that
magnesium.
about zinc or magnesium.
That's
frankly.
fantastic. Man, look at this. It's educational and all. Man, people are, oh my God. People are People love Jordan. Oh my gosh.
He's a legend.
Jordan is a legend. That's true. A living legend among
take
us.
off his shirt. Let's
A
see
giant who
Vanisher,
walks
take
among
off your shirt,
a giant
Jordan.
who walks among us. Well, and actually, Jordan brought up a good point, which is so Nutspoon was written a while before it got on the air.
Couple weeks.
I would say probably 2 weeks, yeah. Which in our world is a long time.
Right.
Because usually we're writing stuff the day before or the day of.
So what's the process of you come up with an idea, then do you go to a writer's meeting and pitch the idea, or do you just write out the idea? How does that work?
What's happens differently all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you could be, in the bathroom with the head writer, and you go blah 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 blah, and you pitch it to them, go yes, go
Right.
do it, and you
Whoa.
go write it up, and you show them the first draft, and
Or you just email the idea in.
or you just send an email with a pitch in,
Like-
and you go write it up after that sounds funny, and sometimes there's back and forth. Other times the timing is so tight that there's not that many notes, and you just go on and rehearse it
Yeah.
the way it is.
That's crazy.
That's why I was so surprised that there were no changes or cuts to the sketch in between the first time we rehearsed it and when it aired, because
I think the longness of it and the detail of it is part of its strength. Like you either do the whole thing or you don't do it.
Yeah, I guess Conan recognized
You can't
that for
shorten
that one.
Andrés or Tony the cameraman's speech up front without it being the same sketch. He needs to go into that level of detail.
Right.
Stuff,
So when you take a sketch that you really like to rehearsal, what's that like?
Terrifying. I remember looking at Michael Gordon, who's been here since 1993.
Yeah, he was on the original staff, actually.
Yeah.
Plays the masturbating bear.
right?
Yeah.
He's the only writer who's been here since day one.
Since day one, right?
But I remember when I was like in my, I don't know, second or third year, and I'm at rehearsal, and I'm looking at his face when he had a sketch on, and he's like,
Right.
and I was like, wow, that feeling never goes away, because it's total exposure. You
Right.
brought it down, and this is either
It's your baby.
It's your baby, and
Right.
it's either gonna fly or it's gonna just die.
Yeah.
And
I've always
that-
said this. We don't really have rehearsals. We have auditions.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It's kind of like, it's very sink or swim. It's very binary,
Yeah.
I think.
Because they're like, what do we got?
Yeah.
We have this much room. Show me what you got.
Right.
And
It's like, yes, yes, no,
yes,
no.
yes,
Boom.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And what's
So it's terrifying.
Is there a big difference between something that's done mostly live, like Nutspoon, and for instance something Dan you did, which was Rub Light, which was amazing, and
That's my all-time favorite
and
thing from the show.
and much more of kind of a pre-taped kind of commercial bit.
The advantage of the pre-tape thing is that you have all the bells and whistles. You can make it look differently. You can edit the comedy
Right.
specifically. So a pre-tape thing, you're it's a little more protected. But by the same token, if it's not working, it's just dead air. People are looking up something live. At least live sketches have this energy that I think comforts Conan and Andy and involves them in a way that
Oh,
they're
interesting.
kind of like, oh, this is fun. Conan
yeah.
gets to talk to Tony, so
Right.
there's an advantage when you're mounting a live sketch that I think Conan, Andy,
I
and
just want to
Jeff
point
and
out, fat guy has amazing legs.
Javier,
I'm assuming I'm fat guy. Thank you very much.
you never know. Could be me.
Exactly.
I'm more proud of my guns,
Oh
frankly.
yeah, they like your tattoo too. They liked your tattoo.
Oh,
so
yes.
You're saying
Yeah.
that's
Thank
his
you.
fourth now
Thank
after
you.
introduction.
But I remember that when we brought the Rub Light commercial down, the editor Rob Ash on that, like I told him what I wanted, and he so far
He nailed it.
exceeded.
Right.
He made it so much better. The way he made it look, and the way he timed each time the song came back, and the song was
And
actually.
what's the premise of Rub Light for people who haven't seen
Well,
it?
I was up late at night, one night at home, and I was just. All those late night commercials have the same tone, like, you can do this with that, and you can even do that with that,
Right.
and you can do this with that. And I was wondering what that would be like if the benefit wasn't obvious.
Right,
If it was
sure.
a product where the
Right.
main feature of it was never quite explained.
Right.
So it's just a light that you can rub against things.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you rub it? So
Right.
And it had a song, you can rub it on a bit. And it's just something that keeps on coming back. And
Yeah, I'm very proud I got to sing that in your.
But Rob did such a good job, and just Conan had a cold that day, and I just remember him watching it at rehearsal. He was going, "Ah!" Like he was laughing so hard he was coughing, and I was like, I knew it was funny, but I didn't think it was going to be that well received, and then that was just
Didn't think
right on the air.
Didn't think I'd make our host cough up blood. It's
Yeah,
pretty great.
yeah. So that was so much fun.
And it's interesting, like talking about kind of rehearsal being almost like an audition, and talking about kind of Conan's mood. We do this thing on TeamCoco.com called Scraps, where so much great stuff comes out of our rehearsal that's just off the cuff, and it's fun to watch Conan and his mood. And so Nutspoon took a couple times before it kind of got on the air, and so the day that Nutspoon got on the air, we have a great scrap that we're about to show you guys of Conan, and so you can see the tone at which Nutspoon was shown in rehearsal, and I think Conan was in a great mood, and definitely I think it's one of the reasons why it got shown that day. And
Was he?
I think he was. Well, you know what? You can decide for yourself. Here's a scrap, a never before seen scrap from rehearsal of Nutspoon. Enjoy.
Stick around for the colonoscopy stuff.
Exactly.
Aaron Blaird on bass.
Right.
I think we gotta do Nutspoon. I think if we don't do Nutspoon now, right? I mean, isn't Nutspoon what we're all about?
Isn't Nutspoon what we're all
That's Steve
about?
Hollander trying to lead the applause.
And our interns get to watch rehearsal.
Yeah.
Andy's tweeting at Representative James Inhofe.
Somebody pull me a clip of that so I can send it to those kids' parents.
Andy, by the way, has some of the best
Learning a lot about
one-liners.
television.
Well, that's his
Here
secret
I am,
power.
sharing
Is
that
that
spoon.
You can assassinate.
whenever he
Conan
talks,
and
it's
Andy
Oh my
always...
God!
teaching me a
Before
lot.
Photoshop scrap was awesomely hilarious. Someone just said
That's great.
that was another Andrew Weinberg.
What is he?
Andy's always looking at his phone.
Be there for my colonoscopy tomorrow at 6.
Why do I have to be there?
You don't have to
Oh, I
be
thought you
there.
said I had to be there.
No, I have
Jesus,
to
I've
be
seen
there.
it, pal.
They want to
yeah.
review Zelda.
I want someone,
there we go.
with a
We'll have
gentle
to do
hand.
Breath of the Wild.
Can
I
we
love
bring
that
out
drug.
Andy?
That
Will
colonoscopy
Kim
drug's the
says.
greatest thing I ever had.
Unwavering.
Again, as if they're all just
the only time I've ever been happy.
just slightly off camera.
Exactly.
I'm not kidding. It's the
Yeah.
only
That's a
time I've
joke.
ever been happy is when
Yep. You were
What's that?
penetrated and drugged.
No, I didn't feel that at all. It's that fucking drug they give you.
Yeah.
I love they're just
and
talking
the
about
penetration.
colonoscopy.
No, I don't care about
Come
that
on.
part. But
Well,
man, I'm on
they-
cloud. Finally,
Well, I'm sure the scrap
released from
shows
the
have
shackles
helped
of my own
them
self-hate.
be aware
Yes.
Nutspoon's Act 1 and Act 2.
what they say.
And Conan's kind of saying it's Act 1 and Act 2
Yeah.
because it's so
We'll be
long.
And then
right
Jeff Ross,
back
all
with
he's
more
concerned
nuts.
about is minutes and
Exactly.
time. He's like, it's long enough.
Should we shoot a
Brothel
quick
footage,
thing where
what
I'm
is
like,
that?
hi, I'm Conan O'Brien. If you thought this sketch could have gone longer, let us know.
So obviously everyone already thinks
Are
that
you
the sketch
nervous
is
at
way
this
too long.
point?
Go
Yeah, are
with
you nervous
Nutspoon.
that he's like
Contacts
ripping on the
at
sketch before he's seen it?
Nutspoon.
This is after we've already rehearsed it a
after
couple
we've seen it.
times. He knows what the sketch
He
is.
knows
How to make
is.
it longer suggestions.
That's why the crowd knew
We're
to
dying to
chant.
hear
Nuts.
from you. Why not?
That's great.
We could have done that. That was not a bad idea.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
What Conan just suggested. There.
Oh yeah. If you thought this sketch could have gone on longer.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that'd be better. It's always interesting, like ending a sketch. Speaking of ending things, guys, I think that's going to do it. Jordan, you want to come back and say goodbye to everyone? People love you. People are really just here for the Jordan Schlansky of it
I
all,
learned
think.
so much about nuts.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
we all learned a lot
minerals.
from Jordan as always.
Jordan, what brand T-shirt are you wearing right now? That's a smart fitting
This is
T-shirt.
James Purse. Yeah,
James
feels great.
Purse.
You guys
Probably
want to feel really
$1,100,
soft
right?
Yeah.
No.
That's very nice material.
cotton.
Yeah,
it's
how much
good
do you
cotton.
think that? May I
soft.
ask how much do you think that T-shirt costs?
Oh boy, this one was probably $60.
I think that's too much for a T-shirt.
$60.
Weigh in, folks.
But I
Too
mean,
much
I
for a
may get
T-shirt.
years
This
of
T-shirt is
use out of
probably
this.
$10, whatever.
This
but
is
it's-
from New York City Burger Joint. Remember the place called Burger
Oh
Joint?
yeah,
in
yeah.
the Parker Meridian
Burger
Hotel?
Joint. The secret's out now, I'm sure, because of the internet. But it's a hidden burger place in the Parker Meridian Hotel
Midtown Manhattan.
in
Check it out.
Midtown Manhattan.
Delicious.
How
And-
hidden is it? It can't be that hidden if people.
It's kind of
It-
behind
it's hidden.
curtains.
I
You go
would
into the lobby of the hotel and you look around. You're like, oh, I guess I have the wrong hotel. You'd have to
okay.
kind of know where.
The
to go.
only indication that it's there, in fact, is a neon sign of that exact logo.
Yeah.
You have to know to look for it, but now I think it's just so highly publicized.
Guys, thank you for joining us. This has been the Stream Coco, special Stream Coco Nutspoon Spectacular.
Thank you. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you,
Hey,
Andre Dubichet.
Jacob Miller just called
Dan Cronin.
us. That's not very nice.
Yes, and Jordan
Oh,
Schlansky, of
Jacob
course. Let's hear it for
Miller.
Jordan. Thank you for coming down.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jordan.
That was great, and telling us about nuts. Thank you, guys. You can watch Nutspoon as well as Rub Light and all of our other great sketches, along with a bunch of remotes starring Mr. Jordan Schlansky. TeamCoco.com/comedy. We will see you guys guys next time. See you later. Bye.
See ya. Thanks, Aaron.